Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Marriage Radio. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning, my friends. My name is Seth Studley. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and this show is real help for real couples.
That's right. We come to you live every single day, Monday through Friday, on Facebook and Instagram, and we answer your questions. Good morning, Sammy. I love you. And today we are going to be talking about family drama, baby mama, all this business going on.
You said that backwards.
Baby mama, family drama. And
That's
we
right.
do 4 things every single day on our show. The first thing that we do is a prayer together. The second is our gratitude, what we're thankful for about one another. The third is our intentions, our behaviors we want to do today. And then the fourth is we talk about your questions and do our conversation starters from the app. We encourage you to do all these things with us. And
That's
if you're
right.
new here, we love you.
All right.
Welcome.
Won't you pray?
Okay. Goodness gracious. All right. Dear God, thank you so much for all of our blessings. Thank you for teachers like Eckhart Tolle and Sadhguru and Wayne Dyer and Joyce Meyer, God. Thank you for this amazing planet, the power of presence, Dr. Dan Siegel, and my family. Amen. I just did a prayer for me. All the things I love.
All your
all my boyfriends.
all your fangirl crushes.
Anyway.
Oh boy. Okay.
so-
now we go into gratitude, right?
Yes.
So-
go ahead.
No, you go.
I'm thankful that you took Mariner to get his haircut and that you guys went and had a fun time. And I'm thankful, this is going to sound super weird, that you love your haircutter guy, Charlie.
Oh, he's the best.
Like, it's just cute and he's funny and you're funny and it's a really fun relationship. He's at the Great Clips in Maple Valley.
Yep, and I
he's
could not
great.
be happier. I have gotten $80 haircuts in downtown Seattle with the hipster, most fancy
Right.
people ever, razor shaves,
Spray
all
on
this stuff.
pants, all of it.
$80 haircuts, and my most favorite of all time is Charlie. He's from Vietnam. He's awesome. He makes me look nice.
Yeah,
he
is the funnest.
He's the best
haircutter.
guy, and he cuts my hair the best.
Yeah.
So
I'm thankful for that, as weird as that sounds.
that's right. So, okay, I'm hashtag getting real.
Oh, okay.
I'm thankful
Oh.
for you know what.
Oh,
right?
that they don't know what.
Okay, so we've been talking about scheduling sex
Y'all, we
forever.
did it.
No, so we talk about whatever on the show, obviously, but we've been talking about literally for years and all the benefits of scheduling sex and blah 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 and all this stuff, and we got on a schedule. It may sound corny, it may sound not spontaneous, but it is, and it was freaking awesome. So thank you for that. We're following through. We're actually doing it. Literally and physically. So thanks, that's awesome.
You're welcome.
I'm thankful for that because it matters, right? So my intention today is to, let's see,
It's a relationship intention, not your goals for today.
To serve you well. And guess how I serve you well already? There's a big steaming pile of hot turkey over there.
That sounds so gross. He made me turkey.
So, yeah, she likes to have prepared meats, right? So she can just grab some protein throughout the day, and I made a big pile of
I like
turkey
to grab
over
the
there.
meat.
Yes, you do. So that's great.
And eat the meat. So
Okay.
I stay proteinous.
You do stay proteinous, that's right. Somebody throw up a like for awkwardness for sure.
But thank you for doing that, and I love that is your intention. My
Right.
intention, I think, is to be more present, again, for like saying, telling you what I care about and I'm thankful for throughout the day, not just
Right.
in the morning and stuff like that.
That's right. Okay, so I want to go a little bit sideways here.
Read that. I gotta get my computer. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm gonna read this. So this is we get emails all the time. Oftentimes it's questions. My husband is a douche. My wife is terrible. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And sometimes we get really nice emails, and I wanted to read one here. So I will edit it for brevity. Hey, Melanie and Seth. I started to write this email in my head several times over the past year, and thought today might be the day to actually put pen to paper. Melanie, I've been able to connect with Seth in the past in a professional capacity through MFT training at SPU. And I remember telling Tina a few years ago, they are starting a podcast and everyone needs to listen to this. It's going to be epic. Thank you, Tina. That's so nice. And she's right. I've listened to your show for a while and especially love tuning into the daily recordings. I wanted to write you both and speak life into what a blessing you are to me and people you don't even know. Seeing you both process your lives in real time is so inspiring. Not only inspiring, but life-giving and affirming. Last week, when I witnessed you both process in real time the aftermath of some decision points about a potential move, just spoke to me on so many levels. I witnessed you both shift from the problem to the process, and I could literally see you, this is in parentheses, feel, deal, and heal, which I've never heard of. Thank you for dropping that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And she quote, and this is from a therapist, not this email, but the feel, deal, and heal is from Tiffany Rowe, a modern psychotherapist in the Utah area. Not only am I a transplant to the Northwest, I'm a therapist with my own marriage things. Having kids, parenthood, and all this stuff, we all go through this stuff, right? Has had a lot of difficulties, but seeing you both show up real and raw in progress every day is inspiring and gives me hope truly. So there's some more there, but I wanted to thank this person sincerely, because when we get emails like that, it is very affirming. Like, oh, whew, okay, we're doing this.
What we do matters is the feeling that I always feel. What
we do matters. And as I was reflecting on this email, I was like, it is not really super hard to do this every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is, and there's a thought put into it, but doing it every day is like, well, when you love what you do, when you really like what you do, it doesn't seem like work oftentimes, and most of the time this doesn't. It's relational, it's what?
It doesn't seem hard to you because you don't do like 99% of it.
Well,
so what's interesting to me is that email says to me, all the boring crap you do, having to figure out how like all these stupid systems work and build a website and make it, they're not fun, and you don't do them. So when someone writes us an email like that, what I hear is, girl, all the hard work you've been doing, thank you, and it matters. Which you're like, this show is so easy. You just show up and goof off, and I get in trouble.
I am not saying that. I'm saying that.
Yes, you are.
Well, think about it. It takes brain space to do this, right? And it's not draining.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Want to know what is draining?
Anyway,
figuring out WordPress, buying domains, all that garbage.
Thanks for the email. I'll be contacting you for some marriage therapy.
Anyway, yes, but really, thank you for that email. It's amazing, and it was really, really great to read and gave us something to talk about and kind of just enjoy together. So I appreciate that a lot.
Thanks. What's up, Delano? What's up, Daniqua?
Good morning.
Tierney. Good morning, my friend.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about, we did everything. So today is, like we said, baby mama, family drama. We've got 2 questions here about family problems, and they are really common. So we're thankful that people sent these in. If you have a question you want to have answered on our show, send it in to hello@anatomyofmarriage.com.
That's right.
And we will answer it. Question number 1. Blended family drama. I have a blended family that looks like a toxic dumpster fire of screaming, lying, and manipulation. If I want to leave this toxic environment, I have to make the choice to leave the man I love. My husband and I have 3 kids and have been married for 10 years. My husband has a child from a former relationship with a seriously toxic woman who is probably narcissistic. I know that you guys don't like to throw that word around, but she has a grandiose sense of self, a sense of entitlement, is constantly belittling and intimidating. She's always bullying others, needs constant praise, and shows no sign of guilt for her treatment of others, but gives excuses as to how she is the victim. It seems easy and simple to say, don't communicate with an ex. But what about when that isn't an option? She is a part of my life no matter what I do. She is a part of my husband's life. Or because she is a part of my husband's life. If I don't want her in my life, then I can't have him either. Please help me. And I'm going to say, we had to edit this question a lot. The person actually asked us to. So, and we always do that with your questions. If you send them in, we edit them to make sure they're triply anonymous.
That's right. So I want to just, sometimes when statements are black and white, that's a flag to me and say, you know what? Let's revisit that thinking. Let's really think about that. So a couple of statements here. If I want to leave this toxic environment, I have to make a choice to leave the man I love.
Right.
So if I was your therapist, I want to dive into that deeper, right? So it's like, I can't have this unless this grandiose thing happens, right? And then further illustrating my point is, if I don't want her in my life, then I can't have him in it either. So wait a minute. There are ways to untangle and untie almost any knots we find ourselves into, right? Some knots are like, have been pulled by 2 trucks pulling apart, and they're like the tightest knot you'll ever find. Others is just a simple shoelace on a kid's thing, which may be tighter than...
Right, I was going to say, a kid's knot. There's nothing tighter than a kid trying to tie their shoe. He doesn't know how.
But the point is, there's a lot of interwoven parts that just seem like a huge overwhelming black and white ball of like, I'm not going to waste my time untying this. It's hopeless. I'm going to throw the whole shoe away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, wait a minute. Let's slow this down. So I want to reframe this for you on the first thing. Like, wait a minute. What if there was a way to untie this knot? What if there was a way to create boundaries so strong that even the crazy ex, who I'm leaning more towards borderline personality disorder rather than narcissistic, perhaps there is a way to, I don't know, to really manage and to corral this person. You know, if say, and I'm not calling this other person a wild dog or anything like that, or a wild animal, but say if you have a wild animal, if you have a wild steer and you're on a ranch, you want to corral that steer into the pen. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think and anticipate moves and really get a couple steps ahead of this steer beforehand, right? So there are ways that you can do this. Now, I'm saying it'll take a buttload of work if you're into that, and then if you're into buttloads of work.
Thanks. Weird. I'm into buttloads of work, guys.
Go talk to Tina, sex therapist. I totally sidetracked
Well, let me
myself.
say, this is the first thing, when you were saying that, what came into my mind is the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And it is a hostage negotiation. He's a hostage negotiation person.
Right.
He actually has a master class. And when I read that book, this is totally unrelated, but it was... a business partner of mine suggested it. I have a business partner. He suggested that I read Never Split the Difference. And when I was reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this applies to parenting, building boundaries with in-laws and friends, all sorts of things. So I would really recommend...
That is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that is a really good point.
I know
did
it
not
is.
Think of. So now I'm going to mansplain why you should do it.
Okay, please don't.
I'm not going to do it. Untangle and untie. I love that phrase.
Yeah, and the other thing that came into my mind too is the vision, or the visual. In this question, she says, my family is a toxic dumpster fire. And when I read the word toxic, I thought of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I thought of like a toxic pond, right? Like it's dirty, whatever.
Toxic ooze.
But you can slowly clean a dirty pond, right? And you can slowly figure out ways to get out the things that are toxins and contaminants. Filter it out. And so I want you to, instead of saying, my family is terrible, messed up, toxic, like you are claiming that, like, why don't you get a flag that says terrible dumpster fire family and put it in your yard? Don't say things like that. Say, we are working at getting better at. And I understand that this isn't your problem. Like, you're not the one being a dumpster fire and it's this lady. But I would prefer that we start with, let's change the way we state things. You are stating, I can't this unless that. That's not really true. And my family's a toxic dumpster fire. It feels like that right now, but it can change, right? There's been toxic... A perfect example, this is really crazy, but Joyce Meyer's father sexually molested her for like 18 years. And she was like, oh, that's the worst, it's done, he's the devil, blah, blah, blah. And then years later, he repented, lived like she bought him a home, all this stuff. So nothing is set in stone the way we think it is, right?
I actually saw a picture of Joyce Meyer yesterday, of Joyce Meyer baptizing her father.
Oh.
Right? Yesterday on, I don't know, Insta or Facebook or somewhere.
I didn't see that.
And I knew that was part of her story, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, literally, he sexually abused her took her to graveyards.
It's
and, like,
horrible.
Just
the
was,
worst thing you can think of.
Right.
That he did to her.
Some of the craziest stuff even I've heard of.
Horrendous,
as a therapist, right?
Right.
But the redemption story in that, and thinking, oh my gosh, how could she even?
But she had to make that. She had to make that choice to say, I am not going to claim I'm a victim, I'm broken, I'm disgusting, I'm trash, whatever, right? Which people do. People do that. They go, nope, my family's a toxic dumpster fire. Can't do nothing about it.
Right,
the only option is to leave.
I like what you said. It feels like that right now. And if we kind of give that, I don't know, that quantifier, it feels like that right now. And then you can shake some truth on that, because we want to normalize and identify our experience. I feel like balls right now, you know? But I don't always feel like this, and I'm not always going to feel like this. I do right now, and I really like the analogy that I use for folks when we talk about depression and stuff, depression is like a gray cloud, and sometimes we can see it. Imagine we're like in a big giant cornfield in Nebraska or some god-awful town. I'm just kidding.
That was terrible.
I am kidding. I'd say that because I had a really bad experience in Nebraska one time, and it was out of my mind.
Spent a week there one night.
Exactly. So anyway, we're in a cornfield in Nebraska, and we see this black cloud, this gray cloud coming. We're like, oh man, it's coming. And then it's over us, so we're sitting in that black cloud of a toxic dumpster fire right now. But guess what clouds always do? They pass away, and then we're not experiencing that, living in that in the moment. So one thing I would say, let's reframe it. Let's don't name it to claim it, or name more positive things. Somebody says, I have the book by Chris Voss. Yes, that is awesome. It is super
I listened to the audiobook. I really like it.
Yeah, it's really good.
The narrator's weird, but
so what I would also do is make sure that you and your spouse are on the same page in every sense, because what this person is going to do, and trust me, borderline personality disorder is one of the most difficult mental health things that people can deal with.
Right. And what
not
I think
only as someone going are diagnosed with that. I'm not saying I'm diagnosed with that, but I have had, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen of borderline clients, and they will make you think you are bananas.
Right. And
it's just a thing. It's a thing, and we try to be as compassionate as possible, but it is an uphill.
Well, and I remember you saying, I think that some therapists will not even have them. Like, they won't even take borderline clients because they're like, you can't fix them. You can't help them. You can, but you can't.
It's a lot of emotional work.
That was just impactful for me when you said that. I was like, I've never thought about a therapist being like, no, that's not, there's no point, really. Which sounds mean, but but there are specialists for it.
I would make sure that you and your spouse, your current spouse, are on the same page with literally everything, and you want to like overkill stuff. Hey, what are we doing? What do we have written down? What's going on? When's the last time you talked to her? What is the plan for the kid? Do you have a screenshot of the text that says, I will be here at this time? So you literally map everything out.
Yeah, and I would think of it, like you want standard operating procedures.
Yeah, big time.
As a protection measure. But I would think, too, the book, I Am Enough by Marissa Peer is really helpful. She has a portion in the book where she talks about dealing with people who, I think it's like boundaries, people who don't have who have bad boundaries. And this idea of how you can diffuse. So anger is like a fuse on a, what's the word, like a dynamite firecracker, right? There is there's a initial lighting of the thing, then the thing goes zzz, and then the firecracker explodes. And there is a pattern that people fall into. People have studied it. This is very well documented, known everything. Like, if I come at you sideways, what are you gonna do?
Come back at you. I'm gonna defend myself, right?
Right? Happens all the time, right? If I lunge at you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna step backwards, you're gonna cover yourself, you're gonna freak out, right? This is what hardwired into us. If you can get like two thought processes beyond that, where you go, all right, she's lunging, don't recoil. That is like a cougar. Like, so they have said that if you run away from a cougar, you're basically dead meat, because that's like their favorite thing. Like, I'm chasing it, it's running,
that
game
ignites
on.
Their instinctual evolutionary things that the chase is on. This is going to be food.
Yes, and you said something, you can't chase something that isn't running.
Right.
And that's a really powerful thought in this way, where you can diffuse that toxic dumpster fire fuse lighting stuff by knowing that it's going to happen, knowing what the pattern is, and then knowing how to stop it. One of the things that I think Marissa Peer says when people are trying to hurt you on purpose, she goes, ask them to repeat what they just said.
Right.
And she's like, oftentimes they will not ever repeat it because they realize it was mean and they didn't think you were going to kind of catch it.
And it's not like...
Ooh, Victoria says, my copy is coming in today.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
But it's not like what?
It's not like repeat where you just said like, oh, say it to my face.
It's not
like take your hoop earrings off, take your shirt off. We're street fighting.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Or saying something
that,
like,
please?
if you said something really ugly to me, and I would just say, are you trying to hurt my feelings? Like, that puts the ball back into their court in the most uncomfortable way, and then they have to go, well, I wasn't. I'm trying to hurt. I mean, no.
It's like standing up to a
Bully?
a playground bully or something like that. You know, like they're trying to shove you and you know whatever it is, and then you say, "No, I'm not going to do that." And if you got in their face, it would. I mean, they might punch you, but
You'll activate their
right.
Yeah.
But they'd be like, "Oh, that's not." It's like standing up. It's like turning around and yelling at a cougar and grabbing a giant stick and start swinging. They're going to go, "Ooh,"
Right.
you know.
Cougars.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways that you can deal with this that aren't just leave, right? And that's the hardest part about it. It's very hard to imagine a new. So what is that? You have that thing. It's easier to remember your past than it is to envision your future, right? So I want you to, in this question, I want you to go, what would it look like if I learned the skills to diffuse this woman? And then my husband and I had very clear standard operating procedures so that she couldn't attack us. She couldn't hold anything against us. We could hold ourselves accountable, blah, blah, blah. There are ways to create boundaries. They just don't look like what you think of as boundaries.
I think that literally, if you did check out the book by Chris Voss, Voss, Never Split the Difference, you can literally get it for free at audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. I listened to it on Audible. Melanie listened to it on Audible.
It's really good.
And it is super, super good. You can play back, you can write notes, you can highlight stuff in the book, and send yourself
you can even take
reminders.
little there's bookmarks that play little audio clips and you can take notes of it. Audible's great.
So and you can get it for free. audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. Go check it out, please.
You can also get the Marissa Peer book, I Am Enough, there as well.
I would highly recommend that one.
He
All right.
highly recommends it, y'all. Okay.
Pregunta dos.
What?
Question 2.
Pregnant.
Pregunta.
Pregnant.
No. My father...
Standard operating procedure.
I work for the Air Force. SOPs reign. Yeah. Think about if you don't have SOPs and you are trying to fly a plane.
I totally am excited that you work for the Air Force.
That is rad.
Just got super jazzed.
All right, here we go. My father, thank you for your service, by the way.
Yes.
My father-in-law is a very hurtful and unhealthy man. The second time that I met him, he called me dumb straight to my face.
Why are you laughing?
Because I've been in situations like this. My husband received a lot of abuse from him as a child, so much in fact that his mother routinely sent the children to stay somewhere else when his father came home from his driving routes. He fights with everyone he meets. He calls us when he is drunk and high and yells at us. He neglects his grandchildren for months at a time. My husband has always tried to do what is right, which only makes his dad's behavior worse. I don't know what to do. I hate that this is the relationship that we have with my husband's father, and I find myself deeply hating our last name because of it. What can we do? Here's what you can do. You can literally cut him off, cut him out of your life for a time. Right? Cut him out.
Okay.
Because I say that because of this. Let's see. What
you trying to read?
My husband always tried to do what is right, which only makes his dad's behavior worse, right? So that pursuer-distancer kind of dynamic, you know? I'm gonna pursue a relationship with you. I'm gonna write you a letter stating how I feel. I'm gonna use the clearing structure, all this stuff. And then some people, that just doesn't work. What is this?
Let's explain that more. So the pursuer-distancer dynamic is... what's a good example of that? Like,
okay, let's say in a relationship. Let's say.
Oh, you know what it reminds me of? Those people who try to sell you something in the grocery store, but they're just like total plants. They don't work for the grocery store. They're trying to sell you like an energy drink, and they talk to you and they're like, "Hey, I noticed your jacket. Do you like sports?" And you're like, "What are you doing?" And then like you can't get away from them. They just follow you around. They're trying to sell you something. The more they approach you, the less you want to have to do with them.
And that happens in romantic relationships. It happens with family relationships. In times where you and I have had an argument or something, and you're really wanting to drive a point home,
dive in.
What do? You're like coming at me. I'm like, "Yo, leave me alone." And you're like, "But I can't leave him alone. He has to know this, or I have to be proven right." And then, you get ego all up in there.
Yeah, it reminds me of a teenager and a parent also.
Right.
A teenager is distancing themselves, and then the parent is pursuing, which makes a really, really terrible dynamic. And that's what's going on here.
Right. So in this, and I am not a fan of being a family therapist, like I'm not a fan of cutoff, but sometimes it is the best thing that a person, an individual can do because if you don't cut off and you keep on trying to do this and pursue, it's almost like you're torturing yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you're going, oh, if I just do the right thing, but I love him in this. Like, let's call it for literally what it is. He calls me when I'm drunk. He calls us when he's drunk or high. He calls me dumb. He abused your husband. So let's be real. Let's not be surprised that if he abused his own son in that way, more likely than not, he's going to be abusive in his style of talking and relating and interacting with other people. He ignores his grandkids for months at a time. So I hate that it's like that. I wish that it wasn't like that, right? Personally, there's things that I wish that my family's like, oh my gosh, why is it like that? Right? But you can only do what you can do. And the best thing, as you are with your partner and you have your own kids, you have to do those really hard, awkward things that are going to be best for you and I, right? If we had a family member that was just like this, I'd be like, okay, this isn't okay. You can do what you want, but we aren't going to participate in any of this stuff, right? For the time being. And you're not going to say, hey, call me in 6 months. It's going to be peace out,
right?
And when he contacts you, if he's drunk or high, say, hey, it sounds like you've been drinking. I can tell, I've heard it this way before. We're not going to talk to you when you're like this.
Right.
We are absolutely not going to talk to you.
But okay. Let me just say that. And I think that what you're saying is correct. Like, we're not going to talk to you when you're drunk. But saying it that way, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm not drunk.
Right?
What, you think you're
I have spent some time with people who are like doing that in a setting where it's not appropriate.
Right.
And if I were to say, as other people have said to this person, hey, you're drunk right now, it only incites more terrible behavior.
I'm glad that you brought that up. So, here's what you can do. Because, when you do throw it, a drunk or high person, you're like, no, I'm not. And then they don't know what you're saying, right? So you could say, just make stuff up.
Well,
Hey, I have to go.
Yeah. What I was going to say and why I brought that up was that there are two really helpful things in both of these questions. They address both of these questions. So I want you to treat this person who is toxic in your life, whether that's the former wife of your husband or it's your father-in-law or whatever, like a child. And I don't mean so treat them like a child. I don't mean talk down to them. I don't mean be unkind to them or anything. Like, we shouldn't treat children that way anyway. But things like this. And this is a what's the word? A technique that I learned when one of our kids would have a really hard time. It's a parenting technique. You can find it in a bunch of books. But it's things like, oh, well, we need to be home by 9 o'clock, so I gotta go. That will stop a fight because someone goes, oh, there's a 9. Okay, 9. Right? Like, they might push you back, they might push back or whatever. But make the timer, make the clock, make the calendar the bad guy. Not, well, I have boundaries and I won't stay here. Literally say, I've got to be home by 8:30.
Right.
Gotta go. Right?
So it's kind of a good cop, bad cop technique. And I do this stuff when I'm either selling stuff or buying stuff on Craigslist.
Right.
Now, I like to sell stuff and buy stuff. I like yard sales. I'm pretty good at it and good deals and stuff like that. And I like to blame stuff on Melanie.
We do it all the time.
Better deal, right? I'm trying to get the guy down or whatever, and I'm like, listen, my wife absolutely said no, and not even I haven't even talked to you all day, but I'm like,
my wife won't let me spend that kind of money.
Yeah,
$40 on a wheelbarrow.
But we have an agreement. It's like, hey, when I'm buying stuff, I'm gonna blame stuff on you, so just take the heat, and you try to do the same thing like that. So it's good cop, bad cop. Like, hey, listen, Dad, I gotta get home. The kids are sick. The kid just barfed or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, don't lie, but yeah.
Hey, I gotta get home. I gotta be home with.
Or
whatever.
something like, I have literally make the calendar and the clock the bad guy. I know that sounds so bizarre, but like, ooh, I've got a meeting tomorrow at 7. I've got to run. Instead of saying, you're a toxic dumpster fire a-hole and I don't want to talk to you. Right. I have to leave because of my boundaries. No, just say, I have to be somewhere tomorrow and here's what I'm doing.
Yeah, peace out.
And I think what's amazing about that is, and it is kind of what they talk about, the Chris Voss book, Never Split the Difference. He talks about that idea of, if you can confuse people, and that it's not a manipulative tactic. It is, but we are all manipulating people all the time. When we smile, we're manipulating people to think we're safe, right? But it is like a healthy manipulative tactic to get to a better outcome, if that makes sense. The bad toxic person is manipulating the crap out of you by holding you hostage to your primal instincts. Oh, I'm gonna come at you sideways and say you're a terrible mom. Ooh, oh yeah, and like she literally, that person has your like nervous system in their grip and is going, I am winning, and they're manipulating by holding on, like calling name calling. That's a horrific manipulation, because people don't know what to do.
Yeah, if you want to rise out of somebody, call them a bad name.
Right.
Tell them they're a bad mom or a bad dad or a bad son or whatever. What's up, Melissa?
So, Delano, we need a clock villain in comic books. That is a great, let's do it. I'm down.
Dr. Time.
Dr. Time. It would have to be a lady, though. I like lady villains. Dr. Time.
Seems like lady villains are more evil than man villains.
That is systemic sexism. Jerk. Thanks for bringing it up.
Beat me crazy.
Anyway, I think that's the things that stand. Those are the two things, or not two things, but that stand out to me the most in these two questions is if we only respond by the thing that seems like if you only do your first response, right? Your initial, they called me a this, I better, then you're going to never end the cycle. It is like a cougar. When you run, they attack, right? And it says, oh, the tone of a voice is very, what? Oh, the tone of a voice is every bit as powerful as name calling. Yes, yes, yes.
Very much. So I got to run here in a minute, so let's wrap this up. So this is a really good question. Being a systems family therapist, a systemic family therapist, I think of all these, and we've talked about it before, being in a family is like a mobile, you know, like you touch one piece of it, and then all the cousins and the aunties and the dads and the kids, it all affects them somehow, for positive or for ill. And you can, this person with the toxic dad can affect his family, their family, for better by cutting out something that is not helpful right now. Taking these drunk calls, taking these high calls, going through this name calling, and then trying to fix it. I want you to put it back on the dad. And unfortunately, some people just don't get it.
Right. Well, and what's,
you know, like the dad, the dad is only perpetuating like his hurt and his abuse that he went through to the son and to the other stuff right now. But you know, and with the last name thing, it's like I can understand that. I've had, you know, clients that have said that before, and it can start. I mean, you can rewrite all this stuff. It can be different from you. You can grow that different branch on your family tree right now. You know, no matter what your last name is.
Like literally, we have said to the kids, Studleys are kind. Studleys are loving, and it doesn't matter what that one of your family member does. Someone commented in the women's group that they're like, this isn't just his name. This is like the whole family of people's names, right? So think of claiming it, name it and claim it, and then aim it, like name, claim, and aim, like Tina says. But I do want to say too, when you create new boundaries around someone who is toxic like this, it takes a very long time for those boundaries to sort of set in and solidify. So it's almost like an electric fence where a dog or whatever, like, I mean, not electric fence, invisible fence, where it takes hitting those boundaries over and over and over and over until your dog realizes, and no, we don't have a shock collar and a hidden electric fence thing, so don't get mad at us. But that's the idea. It takes a long time to set up those boundaries. It takes being consistent to have them work, okay? I have questions set up already.
All right, go for it.
So right now we are transitioning. Thank you for those questions. If you've got a question, send it in to hello@anatomyofmarriage.com.
Oh,
but right now, what?
You know what? Sorry, we didn't talk about one thing. For both of these families that are obviously having family of origin and systemic issues, for real, go to getfaithful.com. Getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to get hooked up with a licensed counselor. It's HIPAA compliant. It's confidential. It's all this stuff, and you can, from a choose down menu, a drop down menu, family issues, communication issues, boundaries, problems with in-laws, all these things you can literally customize your therapist, right? Getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. I would say both of these guys, go there, blow it up, blow up your counselor's text line and phone to get help and just to process through this stuff. And above all, Other things are going to mess up your marriage, right? Sometimes things that we are trying to mess up your marriage, that things that we can't control. Crazy exes with borderline personality disorder, crazy in-laws, crazy dads, crazy moms. This has to be strong, right? Because then this is the strong rock that other water can bounce off of. You know what I'm saying? So
like that,
Faithful, getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage.
Yeah.
Go there. It's awesome. You guys are going there. Thank you. You're getting help, which is great.
Right.
So
that
on
makes
to
me
the
think of
questions.
like a water off a duck's back analogy.
Exact.
That you have to be strong enough and stable and steady for those toxic, mean things to literally roll off your back.
And going to a therapist is like putting more wax on your Filson canvas raincoat.
Ooh, wax back. Anyhow, so yes. So go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to find a therapist that is literally exactly right for your situation. If you don't like them, you can switch them. Ain't no big thing. So go do it. We partnered with them on purpose. So now we are in the Anatomy of Marriage app. You can go to anatomyofmarriage.com to get this thing. We made it. And we are in the family section of the conversation starters. And we are asking each other these questions. We want you to do the same thing.
Go for it.
What is the most rewarding part of having a family?
The connection, the looking forward to every day to connecting with you, saying hey to the kids, smiling at them, like helping them. I really like helping them and teaching them, you know, and spending time with them. It's fun, mostly.
Mostly.
Right.
I find it really rewarding to relive fun things, like to relive the wonder of being a child. Like, I think that's so fun. Like, Hattie is just, I found an inchworm. Oh my gosh, look at it. Or I found a cuckoo spittle. It's a weird caterpillar they call a cuckoo spittle.
Right.
You know, like, I love that rewarding, the reward of just exploring, seeing the world through their eyes and all of the phases that they're in and how it brings out different parts of us. That's one of my favorite parts. Even if we travel with our children, we become different because we're traveling with them. We have to explain, like, cultural differences, food differences, dress, all of that stuff. And we get to...
Where to walk when you're at airport so you don't get run over by
Right. I mean,
carts
there's so much. It's literally living to me. It's like living. And I love it. And it's very present moment awareness. Like, I mean, that's how we parent and that's how we live. Not everybody does that, but y'all should. So that was question number 1.
Okay. You want to do another one?
What are 3 things you wish you would learn before having a family and before we started our family? I don't know why I read that wrong.
Let's see. That's how you act matters because the kids are watching you. More is taught than taught. All these things, and you got to be patient.
I wish that
your brains out.
To your brains out?
You got to be patient until your brains fall out because that's what it takes. At least for me.
I wish that I had learned about present moment, or not, the power of presence. I wish that I had learned that simply being present is very, very important.
Just being there.
Like, you don't have to say anything, do anything, literally just be there.
I'm learning that as I spend more one-on-one time with the kids, like when I took Tough fishing or me and Mary ride around the car and get haircuts and stuff like that. You don't have to say anything. You just sit there, you know, which is fine.
Yeah, and I think, too, really, really, really wish that I had understood the idea of modeling. Like, you are modeling your behavior to your children, and they will absorb that.
And the
so,
power
like,
of words.
Right.
Ooh.
So when I, like, wake up and I'm pissy and I go, oh, the kids are all going to start going, oh, when they're mad. Because I modeled it.
Then you're going to yell at them.
I know. I get mad. What? You're ungrateful? You turd?
All right, guys. So,
anyway.
thank you for joining us today. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you for your emails, your questions.
Yes.
If you do have questions, email at hello@anatomyofmarriage.com and go from there. All right.
We love you guys.
All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good
Bye.
day.